The culture of planned obsolescence. Built-in obsolescence, perceived obsolescence. Are we being scammed by manufacturers? Does this sound familiar? Products of all types, cars, incandescent bulbs, your iPad and iPhone, have predetermined life, are designed with planned obsolescence in mind. The need or desire to replace products quickly and a shorter product life cycle are a consistent drain on wealth of consumers. Nowadays, products are regularly manufactured with planned obsolescence in mind, and due to rapid technology developments, the electronic industry is leading the planned obsolescence trend. The predetermined life of car timing belts engines. For decades, car timing chains were made to last hundreds of thousands of miles. As a result of planned obsolescence in the auto industry, the timing belts were introduced and the timing belt issue on vehicles has changed drastically over the last decades. Most car engines made up through the 80s were primarily non-interference engines. That means if the timing belt let go while the engine was operating, there wouldn't be no lasting damage to the engine and a simple replacement of timing belt kit would fix the problem. These days, the vast majority of engines are interference engines that flap the pistons against the valve train when the timing belt goes. This causes catastrophic engine damage and often leads to costly repair or the engine car replacement, which brings additional profits to auto industry and tax money to governments. The light bulb conspiracy. Initially, in the first 2 decades of 20th century, light bulbs were designed to last more than 2,500 hours. But to increase consumer demand and profits from the light bulb sales, in 1924, a secret Phoebus cartel ordered manufacturers to shorten light bulb life to max 1,000 hours. Companies were fined if they attempted to create a higher quality bulb. The nylon stocking story. An example of planned obsolescence is the nylon stocking. The first nylon stockings did not lather, wear out or break easily, so the designers were forced to deliberately design lower quality stockings that will lather and wear out in shorter time. Thus, the inevitable lathering of stockings made consumers buy new ones and for years discouraged manufacturers from looking for a fiber that did not lather. You must have heard about this. In 2003, the Apple manufacturer deliberately installed irreplaceable short-life lithium batteries into iPods that lasted only 18 months to make consumers buy a new iPod sooner. After they lost the class action lawsuit in 2005, Apple had to extend the warranties and replace the iPods that had faulty batteries. Moreover, the original iPad launched in 2010, just 2.5 years ago, became obsolete in 2012 and not upgradable to the latest Apple iOS 6, while in March of 2012, Apple management launched the iPad 3 and 7 months later the new iPad 4 and iPad mini. Apple management so far did not offer a suitable iOS 6 version solution for the original iPad, rendering it incompatible with new iPads and apps, obsolete and out of the game. This is an example of how planned perceived obsolescence has become a basic strategy in the technology sector.
In the 1920s, light bulbs lasted 2,500 hours. Today, they last only 1,000 hours. What happened? A secret cartel was set up in 1924. Its goal, to reduce the lifespan of light bulbs to 1,000 hours. The first nylon stockings on the market were made to last. What happened then?
Was back to the drawing board and come out with something that was more fragile.
They time those things. They time them, so when you finally paid for them, they're used up.
Welcome to the Apple Care Service and Support Line.
What is the dirty secret of millions of iPods that landed Apple in court? The answer is a hidden mechanism at the heart of the consumer society.
Planned obsolescence. The desire on the part of a consumer to own something a little newer, a little sooner than is necessary.
Planned obsolescence has defined our lives for nearly a century.
Our role in life seems to be just to consume things with credit, to borrow money to buy things we don't need.
But consumers have started fighting back.
This was a major case. They thought I was the next Aaron Brockovich.
Planned obsolescence is not only about deceiving the consumer, it also threatens the planet through a constant stream of toxic waste.
Posterity will never forgive us. Posterity will suddenly find out about the throwaway lifestyles of people in the advanced countries.
Celui qui croit qu'une croissance infinie est compatible avec une planète finie est soit un fou, soit un économiste.
A new generation of businessmen is looking for bright new ideas.
I think business and sustainability go hand in hand. It's actually the best basis to build a business on.
Can we free ourselves from the tyranny of planned obsolescence?
Have you experienced something like this? Due to value engineering, today's manufactured consumer durables and primarily electronic products hardly work flawlessly during the limited warranty period, break easily, are hard to upgrade and source the repair parts, hence difficult and impractical to repair. Aren't they deliberately designed for a short-term usage and to be discarded sooner the better? Have you heard or experienced this? In most cases, it is more practical to buy a new consumer product than to repair a broken one. Often it is cheaper to buy a new inkjet laser printer than to acquire parts and service the broken one. Sometimes the new printer costs almost as much as a set of new cartridges that have a set expiry date. Almost every family is familiar with this phenomenon. During the last few decades, appliances have become less and less durable, serviceable and repairable. But most appliances from the 70s and 80s, TV, washer, dryer, radio, turntable, vacuum, etc., worked flawlessly for more than 20 years, and it was easy to source the service documentation and parts, repair them and prolong their life to 25 plus years. Have you heard stories like this one? Majority of manufacturers intentionally make it very difficult and often impossible to acquire spare parts and service documentation for after warranty repairs, forcing consumers to discard sooner and look for new products. How about these business strategies? Intentionally incomplete or incorrect technical data, hard to source service manuals, repair packages and spare parts, make products and devices almost impossible to repair, so the only solution is to dump the old device and buy a new one. You must have heard of this. The US switched over to digital television in June 2009, designed to make broadcasting more efficient and to enhance the viewer experience, resulted in tens of millions of analog TVs becoming obsolete overnight. The Electronics Take Back Coalition called it the largest government-mandated planned obsolescence campaign in history. The result, combined with falling prices for sleek flat-screen TVs, was that millions of perfectly functional, and in many cases fairly new, analog televisions were thrown out for no real technological reason. Manufacturers of television equipment, of course, supported the switchover, while America's landfills and the environment suffered from the electronic waste. Junk TVs that aren't properly disposed of or recycled can contaminate soil and groundwater, affecting local ecosystems and even human health. Why do we throw away millions of tons of electronics every year? In 2010, US consumers created 25 million tons of electronic waste. What happens with trash devices? Your old devices should end up in recycling centers, not in landfills or third world countries. Recycling station workers cannot transform old products into new ones. They just remove a few expensive components and trash the rest, or generate small profits from the sale and export of e-waste. Industrialized countries have set policies and control on how electronic waste can be handled and exported. What happens with trash devices? The remaining e-waste is then exported to developing nations, mostly in Africa and Asia, where poor people make living trying to separate and sell basic materials that will be reused in making future devices. These practices pollute and damage the environment and the people. Groundwater is no longer drinkable in many of those places, and the health of the locals has also been damaged. Now we clearly see how consumerism and planned perceived obsolescence contribute to pollution and environmental damage of the underdeveloped regions and countries and the planet in whole. Unfortunately, thousands of stories like these ones could be heard everywhere around the world, thanks to the widespread culture of planned and perceived obsolescence. What is planned obsolescence? Planned obsolescence, designed for the dump, is the deliberate shortening of product lifespans to guarantee consumer demand and profits. The light bulbs, nylon stockings, car timing belts, iPod batteries, etc. are examples of planned obsolescence. What is perceived obsolescence? Perceived obsolescence is the part of planned obsolescence that refers to desirability. In other words, an object may continue to be functional, but it is no longer perceived to be stylish or appropriate, so it is rendered obsolete by perception rather than by function. Fashion is all about perceived obsolescence, and the fact is that perceived obsolescence is well supported by the mass media and marketing industry. The motto of planned obsolescence culture is, The article that refuses to wear out is a tragedy of business. The motto of perceived obsolescence culture is, if it isn't cool no more, you got to buy a new one. The main types of obsolescence. 1. Technical or functional obsolescence, making a breakable, non-repairable or non-serviceable product. Old products do not have the same capabilities or functionality as the new ones. 2. Systemic obsolescence, making a product obsolete by altering the system in which it is used. 3. Style obsolescence, new products driven primarily by style, fashion, and aesthetic design. 4. Notification obsolescence, the product informs the user when it's time to buy a replacement. 5. Obsolescence by depletion, consumption of related resources that do not need to be consumed.